March 15, 44 BC. A man considered invincible across 100 battles was surrounded by 23 senators armed with daggers inside the Roman Senate itself. The first blow came from Cimber. Then they all attacked, including his adopted son, Brutus. Caesar received 23 stab wounds. Only one was fatal. The greatest general Rome ever produced died without drawing a sword, betrayed by the very men he swore to protect. Rome in the 1st century BC was a republic in collapse. Decades of civil wars, corruption, and inequality had exhausted its institutions. The Senate was dominated by aristocratic families who feared any concentration of power. In this volatile landscape, in 100 BC, Gaius Julius Caesar was born into a second-tier patrician family, noble in name, but without great wealth or initial influence. Caesar lost his father at 16 and nearly lost his life shortly after. The dictator Sulla proscribed his family for their ties to the populist leader Marius. Caesar fled and served as a soldier in Asia Minor, where he earned the civic crown for saving a Roman citizen's life in battle, Rome's highest individual honor. Upon returning, he studied oratory in Rhodes and emerged as a brilliant lawyer and ambitious politician. In 60 BC, Caesar formed the first triumvirate with Pompey and Crassus, a secret alliance that controlled Rome behind the scenes. With political backing secured, he was elected consul in 59 BC and then took command of Gaul. What followed shocked the ancient world. In just 8 years of campaigning, Caesar conquered all of Gaul, a territory equivalent to modern France, subduing more than 300 tribes. The Gallic Wars between 58 and 50 BC were devastating. Caesar reported in his own writings that 1 million Gauls were enslaved and another million killed. Alesia in 52 BC was the climax. Caesar besieged Gallic leader Vercingetorix with 70,000 legionaries while constructing 40 kilometers of defensive walls simultaneously against internal and external attacks. The victory was total. Vercingetorix surrendered, throwing his weapons at Caesar's feet. Julius Caesar was a paradox. Epileptic and of fragile health, he slept little and wrote while on horseback. He was renowned for clemency toward defeated enemies and brutality in battle. He maintained simultaneous relationships with women from powerful families. His soldiers adored him because he shared the spoils, remembered their names, and marched alongside them on foot through rain and sun. He was an extraordinary orator, gifted writer, and unrivaled military strategist of his era. Caesar navigated volatile alliances. Pompey, his son-in-law and ally, became his greatest enemy. Cicero, Rome's greatest orator, feared yet admired him. Cleopatra, Queen of Egypt, became his lover and bore him a son, Caesar Ion. Mark Antony was his most loyal lieutenant. But in the Senate, Cassius and Brutus led the Republican faction that saw in Caesar the destruction of Rome's liberties, even though Brutus was likely his biological son. In January 49 BC, the Senate ordered Caesar to surrender his command and return to Rome as a civilian. To obey meant trial and exile. To disobey meant civil war. At the bank of the Rubicon, the sacred boundary no armed general could cross, Caesar hesitated. Then he spoke the immortal words, "The die is cast." He crossed the river with the 13th Legion on January 10, 49 BC. Rome would never be the same again. The Battle of Pharsalus on August 9, 48 BC was the decisive duel. Caesar had 22,000 men against Pompey's 45,000. Outnumbered more than 2 to 1, Caesar turned the enemy cavalry against itself. He ordered his veterans to attack Pompey's horsemen in the face with spears. They retreated, fearing disfigurement. Pompey's flank collapsed. Within hours, the civil war was over. Pompey fled and was assassinated in Egypt. Returning to Rome as absolute victor, Caesar was welcomed with grand triumphs. He celebrated 4 consecutive military victories in September 46 BC, with parades that lasted for days. But instead of persecuting defeated enemies, he practiced clemency, pardoning Brutus, Cassius, and dozens of senators who had fought against him. Many interpreted this as weakness. Others, as political calculation. Few realized that this generosity was planting the seeds of his own destruction. In February 44 BC, Caesar was named perpetual dictator, an unprecedented title in Rome. Within weeks, rumors circulated that he would declare himself king. At the Lupercalia festival, Mark Antony publicly offered him a golden crown 3 times. Caesar refused it each time, but the crowd had cheered the refusals with great enthusiasm. The gesture revealed that Romans still hated the idea of monarchy. The conspirators saw their window of opportunity closing rapidly. 23 senators participated in the assassination on the Ides of March. Many wounded each other in the frantic confusion. Caesar fell at the feet of Pompey's statue, a cruel irony of history. Augustus's physicians would later determine that only one of the 23 stab wounds was fatal, the second, which pierced the heart. His slaves carried his body in a litter through Rome's streets while his assassins emerged to justify their act to the people. There was no formal trial, the conspirators expected to be hailed as liberators. They were met with silence. Mark Antony publicly read Caesar's will. He bequeathed his gardens to the Roman people and 75 drachmas to every citizen. The crowd erupted in fury. At the funeral, Antony displayed Caesar's bloodied toga to the people. Rome burst into flames. Brutus and Cassius fled the city in panic. None of the 23 assassins would die of old age. Cicero, who had not participated in the conspiracy but supported it, wrote letters praising Brutus and Cassius as saviors of the Republic. His Philippics, devastating speeches against Mark Antony, circulated throughout Rome. But the assassin's narrative was short-lived. When Octavian, Caesar's great-nephew and adopted heir, arrived in Rome at age 18, he carried Caesar's name as the most powerful political weapon in the ancient world. The Roman Senate decreed Caesar's divinity in 42 BC, he officially became Divus Julius, a god. His adopted son Octavian then called himself Son of the Divine, legitimizing every step toward absolute power. The Battle of Philippi in 42 BC sealed the assassin's fate. Brutus and Cassius were defeated by Octavian and Antony and committed suicide. The republic they had tried to save was buried alongside them. Caesar's impact transcends military history. The Julian calendar he reformed in 46 BC, with 365 days and a leap year every 4, forms the basis of the Gregorian calendar we use today. His name, Caesar, became the title of Roman emperors, then Russian czars and German kaisers. July, Julius, has borne his name for 2,000 years. Few historical figures have shaped the vocabulary, law, and civilization of the Western world as profoundly. Caesar's story resonates in every contemporary debate about democracy versus strong leadership. Charismatic leaders who concentrate power, populism threatening institutions, generals crossing constitutional lines, the parallels are unsettling. Shakespeare immortalized this dilemma in 1599, when Brutus kills Caesar out of love for the Republic, he destroys exactly what he sought to protect. The question Rome could not answer still echoes today: how does a democracy survive the emergence of a truly indispensable man? Julius Caesar lived 55 years and transformed the ancient world irreversibly. From his death arose the Roman Empire, which lasted 500 years in the West and 1500 in the East. His name became synonymous with absolute power in dozens of languages. And the assassination meant to restore the Republic only accelerated its final collapse. The supreme irony of Caesar: he was more powerful dead than alive. If you enjoyed this video, like it and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next stories.